So,
Hello, everyone. My name is Rachel Weaver. I am part of the faculty as well as staff at Lighthouse Writers Workshop. I've been putting together this series of videos called The Story of a Book, in which I ask an author to tell us the story of how their book became a book. So our guest today is Lew Forester. Hi, Lew. Thanks for being here.
hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah, so Lew is he's the author of a book of poetry called Dialogue with Light. And I am gonna hand it off to you, Lew, and have you just tell us a bit about how this all came to be.
Okay, well, thank you, Rachel, and thanks everyone for listening. As she said, my name is Lew Forester. I'm a retired social worker and a cancer survivor, and I've been writing poetry most of my life. Only in the last 20 years, maybe, have I been sending stuff out and been a little more serious about it. I had to retire a little bit early in 2013, so I've been able to hone my craft a little bit more, send more work out, and I won a small poetry contest. Well, anything you win in poetry isn't small, especially if there's a payoff. But so I had the offer of a chapbook from the Orchard Street Press, the publishing company that published my Dialogues with Light book, and so it was an offer of a chapbook. That's mostly what they were doing at that time. But I'd spent a long time putting together a manuscript. It was, like I said, many years in the making, this particular manuscript. Some of the poems were as much as 20 years old. Some of them were only a few months old. And out of 68 poems that are in the book, 33 have been published somewhere in a journal or a magazine, various places. So I really wanted this to be a complete work of poetry, and there's a wide variety of topics, of subject matter. I'm a nature lover. I love to get out and hike, so some of my poems reflect nature. A number of poems are about my cancer experience and are growing up, family, travel. So I divided the book into 5 sections, and like I said, I wanted to keep this together. My writing since then has gone a little bit of a different direction. The poems aren't always as personal or transparent, so anyway, I kept in contact with Orchard Street Press. I entered their contest again and so forth, and I tried for a while. I tried entering it into a few poetry prizes. There's always a fee. Sending it out. I have some good friends that already had some good books out, well received, and they've spent 5 years trying to get a book of poems published by going the conventional route with a publisher. So I felt fortunate. I stayed in contact with Orchard Street Press. I felt fortunate to they've finally started doing more in terms of perfect bound, name on the spine kind of books instead of the saddle staple chapbooks. They were doing more of that. So I talked to the editor, and he agreed to have a look, and he liked the manuscript. And this was along about August of last year. So he agreed to publish it. And so then, we worked together on a few different, there's a lot of details involved, the artwork, some of the formatting, whatever. So finally, there was a hitch or two at the printers, and finally, I got the first copies Christmas Eve of 2019, and it's been selling well, and mostly family and friends, but I do poetry readings and I sell them there. So we're doing a second printing. I guess that pretty well covers it.
I have a question for you.
Sure.
What was something unexpected that happened in the process, maybe of putting all of these individual poems? I'm interested in sort of the process of compiling them into book format. What was that like for you, or was there anything that came up that was a little unexpected in that process for you?
Well, like I said, I had a lot of published poems that I wanted to be in the same collection, and but a variety of themes. So that probably was the biggest challenge right there, was to organize it into sections that made more sense. Otherwise, they, you know, might have been kind of all over the place. I don't know, did that answer your question? As far as a surprise, I think the biggest surprise is, since the book has been out, that it's connected with people. You know, when you write a poem that's of a personal nature, you know, the idea is that the reader doesn't just see me in the poem, you know, especially in you know, when you're using the first person. You know, you want them to see something themselves and their own experience, their own emotions. And I'm being told that it's, you know, a lot of the poems, you know, that are surprising me have really made a deep connection with people. That those poems that are of a more personal or transparent nature. So maybe that's the biggest surprise. Like I said, it is. I had a bit of luck keeping in contact with this publisher after winning the poetry prize. A bit of luck that he was more willing to take a look. And, you know, I think publishers, if you've done the work of sending your poems out and getting published in various journals, then they're more willing to take a look. But as far as a surprise, I think that was the biggest, certainly pleasure. And after so many years, like I said, I've been writing something all my life. It was a relief as much as anything, you know, as a surprise. So.
The other question I have is about the editorial process. What did that look like as far as working with your publisher? Did your publisher have any editorial feedback on the structure of the book or the individual poems themselves? Or was that pretty much just left up to you?
It was pretty much left up to me. I think he liked, I think he liked the book as it was. We might have talked about a few things in terms of formatting, but I spent a long time, and after a few rejections over the course of a year of sending it out, I think I pretty well had it honed down. I did get a lot of editorial feedback from other poets that I know, other, you know, poets that have published books that are accomplished poets, and I did get some feedback there. So I think that was probably more valuable in terms of editorial stuff than what I got from the publisher, actually. I mean, he did weigh in some, but he basically thought it was polished enough to go as is.
Well, thank you, Lew. I really appreciate you sharing the story of your book, and congratulations.
Well, thank you. Thank you. And I realize this isn't a lot of time, so if any listeners you know, want to talk to me personally, I don't have my website built yet, but I'm happy to. I have an email address that is specifically for poetry stuff, and it's, let me put it up here.
Oh yes.
That show pretty well. Okay,
Perfect.
lewforesterpoetry@yahoo.com. So I'm willing to answer any other questions that way.
Great. Thank you, Lew. I appreciate it.
Thanks so much for your time, Rachel.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye.